It is time it is time once again for the weekly closes on our favorite Bitcoin miners. Let's get right into it. So we're looking at Clsk here, and I actually like this close. Why do I like this close so much? Well, we've got a whole lot of moving averages right here that we came into. We came right into the 21 week EMA. We closed above the 200 week EMA, which we had been around under for a while. We closed above it last week, and we closed above it this week as well. If we hold above that going into next week and that stays up like that, I do think we have room up into the possibly even up to and beyond $18 again. That's pretty exciting. We can also see that the average force is going our way. It is moving up. We can see that the momentum ribbons, the stochastic ribbons I've got here, my custom indicator, those are yellow on green, and both of those are looking like they're ready to continue to go up. And honestly, I see them probably coming up into the mid-20s before those reach the top here, especially the slow one. So I'm not too concerned about that. Another thing I want to bring to your attention is, we've talked about this before, and it was the Giga Cup. The Giga Cup is finally coming to a point where it might actually start to happen on this particular asset. Now, we got this right here, right? We came a little bit below the mid level of that cup, but we didn't stay there too long. We got an inverted head and shoulders just beneath it, and we carried on back up, back into that section there here, which would still be a bit of that handle. Now the handle's getting real long. It's getting real long, real ugly. So it's actually looking a little bit like back here. Let me draw this for you real quick. It's looking very similar to right here in 2020, into late 2020, right there. This is almost looking exactly the same, is it not? Turn off the drawings. You can see we had this big massive scoop. We came down, went up, came down again, and then finally went in. Let's see, November, December 2020 finally took off higher. What are we looking at right now? We're midway through November 2024 now. We came down with this huge scoop. We went up, we came down, we went back up again, and we're coming back down. And what is going to happen here? Probably a big old blast off. And that will probably take us either maybe to the 24, maybe we'll find ourselves up at 42 again. We don't know. We'll see if it gets that high. It might. It's definitely within the realm. Here, I'll show you that it's within the realm. If we go to the ruler and we go like this to the top of that cup there, yeah, that is all the way up at 46.24. It's where this big ugly, it's an ugly one, but this big cup and handle would end up at 46.24. And where would that leave us with the warrants? That would leave us a lot higher than $1, which is where we're currently sitting on that. Now, do I think that those could drop to 50 cents before they do any of that kind of stuff? Yeah, probably. They probably could. In fact, I'm hoping for it so I can pick up some more of those. But at some point, I would be expecting around, let's see, when did this happen? Around at the end of December, right? That was the end of December, where it did this huge launch off of that depressed movement it had been in for years. And we are coming off of that now, that depressed movement that we've been in for a really long time. Once we get above $25, that kind of unleashes that pressure, takes the foot off of the brakes there and puts it on the gas and sends us up much higher, much faster. So that's what I'm looking at for Clsk there right now. And if we look at the drawing, here's the other thing that's exciting. Okay, here's the other bit that's exciting. Let me zoom on in for here. Okay, we got this trend line here. If we close above that, which is at next week, going into next week, it'll be 15.53. We close above 15.53, we are opened up easily up to $18, maybe even beyond. The other thing that's exciting is we came right down to the golden pocket here on the weekly, right? On this fib here from the swing low to the swing high, from early November to mid-November. So we came down to the 618, went just beneath it, and now we are closing this week above the 382, which opens us up back up to $18. Look at that. It's all coming back to $18. Might be why they made the strike price adjustable for their warrants down to $18. So that's all pretty exciting for Clsk. I do like where Clsk is currently right now. Bitdigital is our next one here. So this one did another sort of thing here. So this one actually went up on the fib. So we're going to start with the fib here because I got the drawings on. From the swing low to the swing high here, which happened honestly in November, just in a couple of weeks, we went down to the 7 786 it is. Let me pull that a little bit further. We went down to the 786 and we bounced off of that and we went all the way back up above the 618, which means we've got room to the 5, which is at 456, and then above that the 382 at 485, and above that all the way back to 575 for Btbt. So let's take a look at some different stuff for Btbt. Let me turn that off because we don't actually need that anymore. We already saw it. Okay, so what do we got going on here for Btbt? We got so close to this line right here at $6.09. I thought we were going to touch it. We didn't quite get there. So now if we go to the next week, we would need to get to 616 to touch that line up there. We did hang out near this bottom here for a long time. We had a bit of a rising wedge, which you could have seen breaking down to the downside. It didn't though. And we'll see. If it does, I would expect it to come down to about like 319 and then bounce from there, but I don't really see that happening right now. With this thing looks like someone just got an ice cream scoop and just like scoop, 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 scoop. We're gonna do another one where we just scoop it down like that and come flying like a slingshot all the way up to $7-8. We might. That'd be pretty exciting. I've got plenty of shares of this to be happy with that doing that. Now, one of the reasons this thing is lagging behind in some respects, not all, because it was outperforming for a little bit there, is Ethereum. Ethereum has been a bit of a stinker lately. It hasn't really been moving the way anyone really wants or expects it to. So until that really starts breaking out on Ethereum, that's when we're really going to see this thing go bonkers. So right now, if we look at the momentum, the average force is going the correct direction, right? It's going right. It's going the right way. It's getting bigger and bigger. But my ribbons here aren't great. Now, sometimes the fast one turns pink and then yellow again, indicating a bull flag. And I'm thinking this could end up being a bull flag because the slow is still pointing up. Like, right? It's getting tighter, but it's still pointing up, meaning that the fast one can switch to yellow again, and if it does, we'd be going up higher again, and that, I think, would take us to this yellow line up here in the 6s for Btbt, especially with all the euphoria going on right now. Okay, so we've also came down to the 21, bounced, went all the way to the top ATR band, came back down towards the 21, didn't quite touch it, closed above the 5 moving average. This 5 right here is our protector right now. This 5 EMA is keeping us up. As long as we're closing candles above it, even if we wick beneath them or spend some time beneath it during the week, as long as at the end of the week we are still closing above this 5-week moving average at 444 right now, we are still in an uptrend for this particular asset until we get candles closing beneath that 5-week moving average. That's when this structure that we're currently in and have been in since September, when we'll break it. We'll break when it finally starts closing candles beneath it. But as long as it's closing candles above it, like it just has now, and it did last week as well, we are still in that uptrend on Btbt, going towards that $6 mark, maybe even higher. What is this one up here? So the Fib cloud's all the way up at 1450. I don't know if we're going to get that right now. We might get that before the end of the cycle, but I don't know if we're going to get it right now. So I'm looking at Btbt. My near target is about $6. Things get a little crazy and hectic. Ethereum breaks out. I'm looking at about 10 for that, like in the, between the $8 to $10 range. I'd probably be happy to take a significant amount of my profits around like the $7.50, $8 range on Btbt, and then wait for it to come back down into the 4s or 5s again from there. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. How's Bitfarms doing this week? Bitfarms has been an underperformer. Not going to lie, it's been an underperformer. But we do have some underlying momentum that is showing some good stuff. Let's turn off some of these drawings. That is so many drawings. What am I even doing? Okay, so the average force is going the right direction. That's great. Then we have the stochastic ribbons here. We've got green on yellow. That is also good. Now it's a bit anemic looking. Doesn't look super strong. The yellow is about to turn pink again. The green is barely getting green before it's already looking like it might get shut back down again. Bitfarms is currently struggling, and it has been struggling while it's all of it's now. Now, don't be surprised if this thing does pop off and find itself like $3.27 or even $4 in a hurry, like in like a 2-day span. Don't be surprised if that's to happen. Okay, I'm just not seeing signs of it yet. It could, of course, it could happen really fast if the shorts wanted to unwind on this trade, or if institutions suddenly decided they want to get back in because of some big announcement or something. We would see that move in a couple of days, just like back here where we went from $1.02 up to, what was this, up to 358 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. In 6 days, we went from $1 to 358. We went up $2.58 in 6 days, most of that in 2 days. So, I mean, it absolutely has the ability to do that. It absolutely can. And so this is why I think it could happen. Look at this formation back here. Right here, I'll draw it. And you're going to see a lot of drawings all of a sudden again right here. This formation right here. See how that looks very, very familiar to what we're currently looking at right now? Let me go back and go over here. We came down, then we came up, and now we're going down a little bit, making it look like that moved it wasn't really ready to happen. And let me get rid of some of these. There's just so many of these. I want these gone. I want these gone. Yeah, remove them. Who cares? I don't need them. Okay. Yeah, we might hit this trend line here, and then we might see ourselves bounce off again. We're using the top end of this descending channel here as support, and as long as we're not breaking back into this channel beneath here, we are likely to stay above it and crawl our way back up out of this thing. But once we get free of this 200-week moving average at 234, I would not be surprised to see this thing touching $4 or even $5 very, very quickly. But it has been suppressed, and it will likely continue to be suppressed until something changes in the stock. So right now we're being suppressed. Hopefully that will change pretty soon. We'll see. And that wasn't days, that was weeks, excuse me. This was 2 weeks that it moved from $1 to 358. That was 6 weeks, not 2 days. I'm on the weekly chart. I am sorry for that. That was a mistake. So weeks, took weeks, a couple of weeks, but they were fast weeks. So it does happen in a hurry when it does happen. Okay. Let's move on to Mara. How's Mara doing? It closed the week at $26.03. I think we might be done with this 2334 level now. I don't think we're done with 1980 yet. And then once we get above this right here, oh boy, we're going to be looking at some nice stuff. Now, Mara. Let me turn off all the drawings on Mara. Okay. We came above the 200-week moving average. We're above the 5. We're above the 21. That is all really, really, really good. We could probably easily find ourselves up to from 41 up to $47 very quickly on Mara, especially with them adapting the MicroStrategy theory of money printing through using bonds and other debt instruments to purchase more Bitcoin. So that is something exciting that they're doing that is making them very, very relevant right now and likely going to cause Mara to outperform. Now, here's the other thing. We've got another Giga Cup on this bad boy, and it is, honestly, it's pretty ugly, but it is present. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm not drawing it. We're just going to see it. So right here, we came here. There's the top of the cup about right there. We came down into the handle, the bottom of the handle down here, and we hung out here for a while. Once we break this here, and I'm going to draw a line, and a bunch of lines are going to show up, but that's okay. Once we break this trend right here, like once we get above this blue line, honestly, and then we come up to here to the top of this channel, I don't know if that's going to give us much trouble this time around. I'd be looking at this thing to quickly come up into the 40s very, very quickly. Now, where could this go? Where could it take this thing? Let's take a look. For Mara, especially with their new strategy, if this ends up being just like the most disgustingly ugly cup and handle I've ever seen, that would take us up to $66. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. And you better believe that that's possible with their current strategy. Now, I know they're diluting like crazy, but so is MicroStrategy. Nobody cares. All anyone cares about is that they are building a treasury of Bitcoin, and they're using debt to do it. They're using the melting ice cube of fiat money to purchase hard assets like Bitcoin, and that is driving the value of MicroStrategy. And now, as Mara has adopted their method, it will be the underlying reason we see them appreciate in value as well, even if they're losing money. So I do think that Mara has positioned itself now to potentially outperform its peers based on the fact that they have decided to mimic MicroStrategy and purchase Bitcoin alongside mining it. Okay. That's what I'm saying, and I'm looking around a $60 price target for that. Now, is that going to happen like real fast? Probably not. We're probably going to see ups and downs. We're going to see more little scoops like we're seeing coming out of here. Scoop. We might scoop back down to $19, $19.80, like I said earlier. I don't think Mara is done with that $19.80 level just yet, but we're getting towards the point where we are going to be done with it pretty soon for this cycle. Now, I do like that the momentum is going our way. Average force is going up. I'd really like to see that turn yellow. The momentum ribbons are pointing straight up, meaning nothing but momentum upward right now. Let's take a look at the volume profile. Let's see. Do I have it? Yeah, I do. Oh yeah, that's great. On the weekly, we're above all the hard resistance here. So basically, On the weekly, if we can just get above these little areas of resistance to the left here, like $27 and $31, once we get above that, there's really nothing stopping us from going way, way higher real fast with this thing, especially with the way that they've been strategizing lately on Mara. So that is Mara. Let's take a look at Riot. How is Riot doing? Riot. I like where Riot is right now. Honestly, I like where Riot is right now. It feels very reminiscent of back here, just like many of the other miners, where it was like really weak price action, just kind of grinding down with a few little pops here and there. I'm looking at that on Riot right now, and I don't dislike it. It's near the lows. It's closer to the lows than a lot of its peers right now. We see that the momentum is yellow on the average force here and is growing. We see that we could be getting a bull flag here on the fast stochastic ribbon there. The yellow, it's about to turn pink, while the green is pointing straight up. So this may indicate that this move right here could end up being a bull flag if we see it turn around and take out $16 in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, I would say that would end up being a bull flag. And if that's the case, where could we find ourselves? Well, I do think we would quickly find ourselves at $20 if that were to happen. Now, if we take out $20, now we're going to see a whole bunch of drawings again. Okay. Oh, just a few. If we take out $20, that means that this descending channel here, it's done. And we're no longer concerned with it. If we take out that descending channel, all of this liquidity that we've been building since July, that all gets unwound. And when that gets unwound, we're going to find ourselves with Riot trading up at the 40s again very quickly, maybe even the 50s on Riot. So watch that. We could be seeing a 3-4x out of Riot real fast if it takes out that $20.70 range level there. Let's take a look at their EMAs and stuff. Oh yeah, I like this. I like this a lot. Yep. So we closed above the 200. We went way above it, came back test the 200 week moving average, and we bounced off of it. That is real bullish, actually. I like that a lot. I would not be surprised to see this end up being a bull flag. And if that happens, yeah, I think we could find ourselves finding the reaching up towards the upper fib cloud here around $40 potentially at some point throughout the cycle here, maybe even by January if things go exceptionally well for the miners and for Bitcoin. Okay, of course, this does hinge on Bitcoin. It hinges on regulation. It hinges on whether or not these companies can keep the lights on and hold on to their Bitcoin, honestly. So that's what we're looking at there. Let's move on to Iren. Iren is honestly one of the stronger charts as well. We're still pretty low, still pretty beaten down. We didn't make a run for this July high just yet, but I do think that it is in the cards. We are grinding higher and have been grinding higher since December 22. Look at this, just stair-stepping up. That one in July was a big move up, and I'm expecting this one in December to also probably be a pretty big move up, probably taking out that 1583 level, okay? If we take out that 1583 level, I would not be surprised to see it trading back up around $20 in a hurry. We've been using the 200-week moving average as support all the way since June 2023, and we haven't quit doing that. So if we come lower, the lowest I would expect on Iren now at this point would be 772. I would not expect it to go any lower than that. But look, we ran to the top here, tried to touch the top of the ATR band, came back to the 21 EMA for the weekly, bounced off that. Look at this average force just scooping up. Look at this momentum. The slow is slowly starting to point almost straight up. We got a flat one here on the fast stochastic ribbon, and that is, my friends, looking a lot like, what am I going to say? I think some of you already know it, a cup and handle. And that cup and handle, let's see how high it could take us. See how high that cup and handle could potentially take us. That cup and handle could potentially take us as high as, boop. What is that? Yeah, that is just over $20. Just over $20 is where we would be looking at that. That's very, very exciting here. So if this ends up being what I think it is, yeah, we could be at $20 real fast. And that is the area anywhere between that $17.15 and an $18 level is exactly where I plan on offloading my current Iren shares before looking to reload sometime around like April or May or something, going into 2025, looking for that end of that summer rally and then potentially even end of cycle rally near the end of 2025. So that's what I'm looking for there on these. Okay, that's it for Iren. Iren looks good. Let's look at Corz. It's perfect. Moving on. No, Corz is looking good. Let's see. Why do I have a fib on here? This is the fib. If it were to fall, I mean, honestly, Corz, I would be surprised to see it even come down to the 382 at 1378 at this point. Corz has just been so strong. And it is still in this very aggressive uptrend. Very, very aggressive uptrend, and it's in the top half of it. In fact, it's breaking out beyond it. Corz can't be stopped. Corz is a force to be reckoned with. I don't even know how to address this thing. Even if it comes to the bottom of this channel here, that's only $14. That's only $4.23 down, where I would expect it to be bought up aggressively and see it drive up to 20 or even higher on Corz. I don't know where this thing could go. I'd like to see it pull back to a high at some point, like we saw on August 5th. It didn't even quite do that. So in this case, I'd expect maybe it to come down to, I don't know, 1388 at the lowest, and then continue driving higher as long as that buy is still there. If somebody very, very influential wants to buy a crap load of Corz, and they just keep doing it. Corz can't be stopped. Let's take a look at Wulf. How's Wulf looking? I actually like Wulf here. I like Wulf. It came up. It's doing a retest of the 5-week moving average, and it's finding an area to bounce. Now, this could end up being a bear flag. We'll see. We'll see. I love this average force right here. I love it right here. It could drive a little bit higher before bleeding off a bit, maybe going sideways for a couple of weeks, building a bit of a triangle right in here, and then driving higher from there. But I don't dislike it. I really don't. I'd like to see, maybe if it pulls back, I'd like to see it maybe touch 534. And then from there bounce higher and higher, just like it's done a couple of times, right? When it drives real high, it comes back to the 21 and then drives even higher. So I would expect maybe now for it to come back down to that 21. It's probably ready to do that, and then drive even higher. Wulf here, I'd be looking for maybe a pullback to the 21 at some point. It might not even be at 527. I mean, it'll probably catch it at like $6. Honestly, it might catch it at 6, the 21, in a couple of weeks, and then we'd see it bounce and drive higher, maybe even as high as, honestly, yeah, about as high as $10. $10, I think, is the next stop here once we start get going on the way up there from here. Yeah, $10 is where I would look. So I'd look for it to come to the 21. Just like back here, right? Drove up, came back to the 21, bounce higher. 21, bounce higher. And I expect it to hit 10, maybe even $11, and then start curling back over again for Wulf. Let's take a look at Hut. How's Hut doing? Hut, again, it's like Corz. It's unstoppable right now. Now, I see something very, very nice in here. Okay, so we're kind of at the top of the range, but I don't think Hut cares right now. I am looking at an inverted head and shoulders, and I'll show you right here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, boom, and this thing could go as high as, let's see how high do we think this thing could go. Let's see, head, shoulders, had one here too. This could be the end of that move here, actually, but yeah, that could be the end of the move. So we're going to end up needing a new bullish structure. It's just like this one back here, where the end of the move was right there at the top of that channel, and that's where we are right now. So Hut might actually be looking for a pullback now at this point. It might be looking for a pullback. Now, that pullback I would expect to be met by bull demand, but I am looking at maybe a pullback, perhaps to 21.22. Let's take a look at the moving averages. Yeah, 21.22 would be, 21.39 would be the 5-week moving average. Yeah, I'd expect it to do that, maybe go sideways a little bit longer than that, and then continue to drive higher as long as Bitcoin continues to drive higher. Now, if we lose that level, that 5-week, then we're coming all the way down to the 21, which is currently at 1541, but would probably be closer to 1650 by the time it actually reached it. Okay, let's move on to Cifr. Cifr had this really big sell-off. This is where I was feeling bearish, was back here in like September, and then it got real bullish real fast, and right now, I like this. This is a good pullback. So we came driving higher and higher, and we're going to get a little bit of a pullback. This is probably going to be a bull flag when we see a candle. So if next week, here's something that I need to show you. Turn off all the drawings. Turn off all the everything. Okay, let's go in here. Let me show you this. So if next week we get a candle that looks anything like, let's say here, right? See this candle here on October 7th? See how the body of it starts, I mean, it did dip, but it came back up real quick, right? And the body of it basically starts at the top of these other two candles and then drives a little higher. And then the next candle here, look at this, the wick starts at the top of the body of the previous candle and drives higher. And then over here, the body of the candle here starts near the top of it and drives higher. That's what I want to see. So if we see a candle that next week that opens and stays above, let's say opens and stays above 660, I would expect this to end up being a bull flag, and I'd end up expecting to see it drive up to 750, perhaps even 775, or even $8 for Cifr. And I have a really great example of that on the hourly chart here for CleanSpark that I'll show you real quick. So this was from Friday. So we go to 1 hour. candles like this. You start seeing candle patterns like this right here, where you have a candle, right? And the body's basically right at the top, drives higher. Body's right at the top, drives higher. Body is right at the top and drives higher. Body is right at the top and drives higher. Body is right at the top and drives higher. This is what you're looking for. So if you see a candle pattern like this, right? And then the next one, basically you see a wick and then the body starts forming, right? At near the very top of the previous nice green candle, expect it to go higher. And if you see the next one, right, stay very close to the top of the previous candle and start driving a bit higher, it's gonna drive higher. And the same in the opposite direction. This is like a perfect textbook example of just absolute bull demand. That is a trend right there. So that's what happened on Friday with CleanSpark, and that was super bullish, super bullish. Let's take a look at Hive. How's Hive doing? Hive hit that line and rejected. I don't like that. I don't like that it hit that line and rejected. I actually really hate that. Now this could end up being a bull flag. Could end up being a bull flag because the momentum on the slow is still there. The average force is still there. If you get a weaker one next week, then I would expect that this to come back down to like 350, maybe even back down to $3 before trying to drive any higher. But yeah. Right now we hit that brick wall, which is this trend line, and we rejected off of it. And I would expect it to come back into support, the highest level of that support being 348 and the lowest level being down around 275 on Hive. Hive, this is why I wouldn't have bought Hive and still am not going to buy Hive. Hive is not at all interesting to me until it breaks over $6 or sorry, $5.75. Then I'm interested because once it gets over $5.75, it has room all the way up to $10 from there. So until then, Hive, you remain obscure and some to me, not to everyone, and I am not interested. Slnh, the gamble play, the lotto ticket. How is it doing? It's right. It hasn't done anything. Hasn't done anything. It's still just in this little box here. It comes out of it sometimes and drops back into it. So this is the lotto play. This thing is not looking particularly good, but there's hope here. So we're gonna get rid of that line and we're gonna hold this one. See this? So this looks a little bit like what? An inverted head and shoulders. Look at that. We break this line right here, right? We break that line right there. We are opened up all the way up to $7. That's not too bad. That's not too shabby. We break that $7, right? Break that $7. We got room all the way up to like 10, 12 bucks, right? Yeah, about $11. We got room all the way up to $11 once we break that 7. So this inverted head and shoulders will take us a 7. I'd expect some kind of pullback, some kind of flag, maybe some formation like this. And then if it breaks to the downside, then we're falling all the way back into this box. But if it breaks to the upside, we'd be looking at $11 on Slnh. Again, this one is the lotto play. This one is zero or hero. I don't expect much from it. I didn't put very much into it. Anyways, that is that. Oh, I was also requested to add coin to my weekly breakdowns now. So I'm going to add coin to my weekly show here now. So coin's going to be a part of this one from now on. Look at that. Look at that. What does that look like to everyone? Yep. An inverted head and shoulders. We got a shoulder, a big head, and another shoulder. Looking like a torpedo there. About to launch, looking like rocket boosters ready to take off. Now, where could that take us? I have no idea. Honestly, this is huge. This is like the longest existence of the whole company at that point. Where might that take us? Well, you know what? I'm actually going to draw that out because you know what else it looks like? Yeah, I think some people are already saying it. It is a cup and handle. And guess what? We just broke out of that cup and handle. We just broke out of that thing. So we're above it. We're above the cup and handle. How high could this thing go? We have a measurement tool for that. All right, let's go take a look. So it didn't go to the half. It went exactly to the halfway mark. Look at that right down here at 146. It's exactly at the halfway mark. Okay, anyways, on the way up, 527. 527. Is how high I would expect this to go from here. So that's another 220 some odd dollars here for that off of this cup and handle. This confirms up here and starts driving higher and doesn't break beneath this. Let me see this trend line right here, which I'm actually going to adjust that because it did go a little bit lower than all that. So as long as it doesn't break this trend line right here, as long as it doesn't break that on the way up, here, I would expect it to eventually reach that $500, maybe even $527 target on coin. Now, how can you get in on this action if you don't want to buy a $300 stock? There is a cheaper version of it, and that is Con L, right? Con L. This is the one I'm in right here, Con L right there. And look at that. You can see that breakout even better. This falling wedge, and it broke upwards. It's making some dojis here, trying to decide what it wants to do. Average forces going up. The slow stochastic ribbon is pointing basically straight up with its mouth wide open. We've got the fast one looking like it's trying to create a bull flag, and once that fast one starts pointing up again, you better believe this one's going back up to $88, 100 higher even than that. Coinbase has yet to make its big old moves there, but that's Con L. Right now it's $57, and it is a 2x version of Coinbase. I would not be surprised to see this do a very similar move. And now let's draw out that one. I know you can't see a cup and handle on here because it's missing half the cup because it didn't exist when that was happening. But if this were to happen, this thing could go as high as $173 alongside Coin going up to $527. Let's go back to Coin real quick. Okay, let's go back to Coin real quick. We got a little more story to tell here. Let's put on our moving averages again. So one issue right now. What is the issue right now? We are above the ATR band. So well, we went above it. We're likely to come back down to the 5-week moving average. That 5-week moving average is currently at $268.55. By the time we touch it, it'll probably be closer to about 280-ish. Okay. As long as we're holding above the 5-week moving average, I don't think this move is done yet. Okay. As long as we're holding above it, the move isn't done yet. As soon as we lose the 5-week, we're going to probably come down and try to touch the 21-week, which is down at $220 right now. That could probably be closer to $250 by the time that we get there if this thing is to come down, but I'm not seeing any reason for it to come down as long as crypto is flying because, one, they make tons of fees off of crypto trading. Two, they are the only American custodian for Bitcoin at this time. They are going to have a very good cycle, I think. And of course, nothing I say is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. And with that said, please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. Don't sleep on the sticker shop. That link is also in the description and channel bio, and have a profitable day.